Now just getting my notes back up. I feel like this one might be a bit more just let it flow, but I thought I'd send you through the questions so you have a bit of an idea. But yeah, that's easy. All right. This is episode 58 of season 2 of the Launch Your Biz Now podcast, the podcast for all new and aspiring business owners. And today on the show, I have back again Leanne. So Leanne came on to the podcast when she was joining up to do the Launch Your Biz Now course back in September. And at that stage, Leanne, your business was just an idea and it was just something that we were beginning to plan. Now, just over 3 months later, we are at a very, very different point, and you have now launched Misa Movement, your yoga studio, and it's incredible. So congratulations, first of all. What an achievement. How are you feeling?
Oh, thank you. So opening 1 week has just been so amazing, so hectic, so frantic, all in the one breath. But
Oh,
I am just feeling so happy and so lucky, I suppose. A lot of gratitude out there that the business has just taken off the way it has. Only 1 week on, but I almost feel like I'm settling into a business that's been existing for a couple of months because already figures are coming through. I'm at about 63% of covering my costs, and that in the first week, and that projected revenue. That's
wow.
revenue that is going to come forth to me in the next month. So that's already memberships that people have committed to. And reoccurring classes like today, I've got a class that's on, it's a Sunday special, 90 minutes. It's at 95% capacity for today.
Wow. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So for the second time that this class is run, and 80% of those people coming into this class today are people that haven't visited the studio yet. So it's just crazy. So
That
just
is
a lot
insane.
of gratitude, a lot of just feeling so settled in it, and just can't believe the community that I've been able to build.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, my heart. I love it. Now let's jump back a little bit because we've just given
Yeah.
everybody the headline and that is absolutely incredible. And we'll just recap. So 63% of her expenses she's covered in projected income for each month going forward already. And the business has only been launched for 1 week. This rate, by the end of the month, you've got all of your expenses covered and then it's starting to take profit. So you're really going to be like, you're projected to have a profitable business within a couple of months of starting up. Like, that's insane. Like, really cool. And we'll
Crazy.
talk about what's led up to that happening and why you've had that success and how awesome that is. And then, have all of these new people finding your studio, be almost at capacity in your classes already. Like this, it's definitely a success story. It's incredible. And hats off to you because you've done all of the hard work here. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
But let's give everyone a little bit more context. Would you like to give everyone your elevator pitch on your business?
Oh, Sarah, I knew that you'd do this to me, and I'm really terrible at my elevator pitch. So, yes, I do need to set a little bit further. But my name is Leanne, and I have opened a yoga, fitness, and wellbeing support studio. We just care for people that are wanting to spend time, give back to themselves in a really nourishing, supportive environment. And we take all of those elements of fitness, yoga, mental health, we combine them all together and allow them the opportunity to grow and support their needs. Yeah.
It's beautiful, and I'm a member there now. So you're putting up with me all of the time, and I can say that it's absolutely a stunning place to be, and you've done such an incredible job. All right, 3 months that we've been on this journey together, or a bit over 3 months now. Let's start talking through it. What does your journey look like? Where have you what have you done? Where are you now? Let's go through how that's looked for you to
Mm.
get to this.
I suppose at the start, I knew that I wanted to start a business of my own to basically just change things the way I was offering my services. So I've previously taught in gyms, which is a really great starting place. However, you've according to what people want from you. Whereas what I wanted to offer was something that I wanted to provide to people, which is a totally different space. But I didn't have the really structure that I needed to know, like the physical stuff, the bricks and mortar stuff. How much money do I need? Where do I start? How do I get people in the doors? Where do I find a place? Just all that concrete stuff. I just felt that I didn't have a very good business brain and not a lot of skills there. And at the time, because you and I do know each other, you're a yoga teacher, the same as me. And I just, through your social media marketing, I got the feel of things that were happening for you. So I started to listen to your podcast. And then by listening to your podcast, week, episode by episode, I was going, oh my goodness, this is the information I need to take me from thinking about doing something into an actual business. Like, this is the stuff I need to know. So then I guess it just grew because I was able to join your intake with your business course, with launching your business. And I was really excited about that because I just wanted to know more. In your podcast, you spoke about having a good business account and you spoke about social media and all these different pieces, but I just wanted to grow my knowledge. Yeah, I suppose step one was just trying to build a bit of information, but linking into the course that you provided so that I could have an actual step by step that showed me how to get from A to Z and not just jumping from to M and hopefully ending up at Z. Yeah, that's how it all started. Yeah.
Yes, and in this time, you've had to get a space and you've had
Mm,
to completely renovate the space as well.
yeah.
So how there might be people listening to this that might need to be look at renting or buying a commercial space or whatever it might be for their business. Do you wanna just talk through that process and how you found that? How was it?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to find an existing business that had the structure already there, but it was an old building. So it needed a lot of work. So when I very first rented, I did say to myself I would need a month before I could open my doors. And realistically now, it I would not have been able to do it under that because of the work that we had to do. So there was a lot of painting, a lot of plastering. Realistically, the probably the one thing that I made really hard on myself is that I decided that I was going to do it over Christmas time, which I look back at that now and go, what was I thinking? But the reason why I did it that way is because I really wanted to jump into this new year idea of setting up new goals for yourself and knew that I would be able to bring that into a lot of my marketing. Whereas I feel that if I'd have I took it over the 30th of November. If I'd spent longer than December into early Jan setting it up, say if I went, okay, we're going to start this in the new year. I'm going to jump into something in January and we're going to launch in March. I would have missed a really good marketing tool, and that was New Year's resolutions, people trying something new, really trying to support themselves. So, yes, it was yes, it was a lot of hard work for a month. Yes, I probably should have given myself a little more time given it with Christmas, but
You got
given it was
through.
Christmas, I got through. So we got
Absolutely.
there.
Yes.
Yeah. So realistically, if you're going to start a complete new business, you really do need at least a month, in my terms, to really get everything up and running. And even from the back end, I just felt that setting up all those marketing of social media and setting up your email links and just all that while trying to renovate, yeah, it was a lot to take on in a month. Yeah.
Absolutely. And with the month, did you negotiate that into your lease terms as well? You have that?
So what happened is because I went in there and so the place already had 2 air conditioning systems and it needed another one. So basically it consists of a reception waiting area and 2 yoga rooms essentially. So the 2 rooms had air conditioning systems in it. The reception waiting area didn't. And I knew that I wanted to make it comfortable for people. I knew I'd have to put one in. So what we were able to do is that I went and said, okay, I'll put this in, but because is there anything that we can do with the lease? And what they come back to me was 1 month free rent.
Perfect.
So that was perfect because then what was happening is while that month of renovating was happening, I didn't need to pay rent, which is
Absolutely.
perfect.
And I think that's such a good
Yeah.
lesson for anyone that's out there
Yeah.
looking to get a space is all of this stuff is negotiable. You can put in
Yeah.
whatever you want into it or try and
Try.
they
Yeah.
will work with you. So yeah, ask the question. And
Yeah.
yeah, so we got that off the ground, got the space up and running. And then what was the process like pre-launch? Getting
Yeah.
everything that you need to do, like on the business side of things. How did that go?
Mm. So then it was about offering something like a little hook that
Mm.
I could start getting the word out there. So it did involve social media. So that was really critical to starting the business and getting the word out there. What I would take them through is social media marketing, but really a journey about what I was up to and a journey about me. So people got to see the actual studio unfolding and how that was progressing. They got to learn a little about me. So essentially I was starting that connection to people.
You were
I was
starting to
showing them,
build your personal
yeah,
profile and yeah.
yeah. And a connection physically to the place, a connection to me because they would see how I was traveling, and a connection to me and my family and feel like they were connected even though they didn't meet me. So that could all start. And also a hook, something that was a little freebie that they could and meet me personally. So I started with a Zoom online meditation session. So that allowed us, even though I didn't have the place open for business, but it allowed us to meet over Zoom and then again feel like they've been contacting me personally. And I think that's what's been so critical in getting the response that I have in the first week, because I started the connection to the place and the connection to me personally way back 6 weeks before I actually physically opened the door. So that when people walked in the door, they felt they already knew the place and they already knew me. Mm,
Absolutely, and this is one of the key things that I have set up in the course, and one of the things that I do is start to get
mm,
people to build their network and build their reach right at the start, before they have a product, before they have a business, and everybody sits there at the start of the course going, "Oh, should I be doing this now? Should I not be doing all of these things behind the back?" And I'm like, "No, we're gonna start building that community now, so by the time
mm,
you do launch the business, we've got people for you to launch too, and they are ready to buy. They already know and trust you. And like you said, they're invested in the business. And nobody is as excited about the business and supporting you as they are when it's a new business. I think we're all about that hero's journey and love seeing people come up and achieve awesome things. So you can get so much buy in if you do this launch process well and really
mm,
celebrate it and get people to jump in on that journey. And
mm.
I think you've done a fabulous job.
Yeah, and Sarah, I really had no idea about the work that you needed to put into it before the business opened the door. When you open the doors, that you're going to have to spend time on social media. Know that you're going to have to do these things. I had no idea how much time and effort I should be putting in into that early stages before I did the course. So each week, as that course was unfolding, I was like, ah, okay.
There's more.
Okay. Yeah, but it just allowed me to take that step by step without feeling too overwhelmed by it.
Yes, and I think that was really good for you in particular. I think you got a lot out of learning. You were a bit nervous about the marketing side to start with.
Absolutely.
Got in
Yeah.
I'm gonna put your links in the show notes, and people wouldn't know this now from jumping on and seeing what you're doing, because you are doing a fabulous job of your marketing now. But just trying to know what you should be putting out there and how that should look. But now you are absolutely nailing that.
Oh, thank
It
you.
has been so good. What has been the most challenging thing in the process so far and with launching the business?
I think not putting too much pressure on myself. So when I was setting up things like my launch, I wanted things to be big and wonderful and complicated. And then what I actually found in the launch is that simple things work best. So I think the hardest thing was taking pressure off myself and make things not complicated. Things that worked best in my launch were things like just a very general open meet and greet and just allow people to come in and meet you. Simple things like that really worked. Those people walked in the door, then they would go home and instantly sign up to memberships, even though they hadn't done a class. And they'd do a class, but not would they come back once a week. I would see them like 3 or 4 times in the first few days. Whereas the complicated things, the things that I was going to spend big money on, opening nights, things like that, I probably didn't get the response that I originally found in my own head because I just put too much pressure on myself. Keep it planned, keep it simple. And I think what allowed it to the transition to be really easy is I said to myself, okay, this business is going to take months to grow. I'm just going to be there. I'm going to be committed, but I know that people may not turn up, first of all. It might take me months to get people engaged and grow the numbers and things like that. But so that then by taking my to take the pressure off myself that way. When I did start to grow this community in the very first week, it was just in gratitude for people coming into the place because it took off better than what I expected. So
Mm.
that meant that because my expectations were low, it meant that it just unfolded and the pressure was off, if that makes any sense.
That
Yeah.
completely makes sense. And it's about that connection thing, isn't it? Because one of
Mm.
the things so with my launch of the course, funny you say about the meet and greet was one of the things that worked really well for you. One of the
Mm.
things that I did, which for me wasn't a part that I was initially going to do in my launching of my courses, was these 15-minute calls. And the people that took them up all signed up for the course. I think there was one that didn't, but pretty much all of them did. And I think it's just having that little connection and that buy-in as well that we're talking about.
Mm.
So, yeah, funny how sometimes simple is really good. And that's all that people
Mm.
need. They just need to feel special. They need to feel heard and they need to feel comfortable with you. That know,
Mm.
like, and
Yeah.
trust thing. I
Yep.
love it. So, right back at the start of the course, one of the things we focus on is testing your business idea. And in this module, we really uncover who your customer is and go through the bit of a discovery process there. Was there any key learnings out of that aspect of the course, or what came out of that for
Mm.
you?
So for me, it was really narrowing down the type of client that I was going to market to. And it didn't mean that I was going to leave anyone out because they will come for the journey. But essentially, what I did is I took the excuses away from those clients. So essentially, what I narrowed down, okay, so I want a business that's going to give people some time and some dedication for themselves. But what was coming back, so one of the tasks that you asked us to do was set up a questionnaire and email that out to people. So essentially what was coming back is they don't have enough time or they've got their children with them all the time. And essentially what I then started to unfold through all of your questions and this segment that you go through and you ask us to ask the question, but why,
Love
is
the butt wine rule.
essentially, yeah. But essentially what happened is that what I found is the excuses were just excuses. The time, I don't have enough time. What they were doing was not putting themselves first, they were putting everyone else first. So, what I then was able to do was really narrow down the marketing and suggest that in the marketing, it wasn't about me offering them time and time outside of their own schedules, and everyone that has different times. You can't meet everyone's expectation. But then the marketing become just more narrowed, more targeted, because then the marketing was about put yourself first.
Oh,
Because if you put yourself first, it's not about you fitting in to everything else. It was about put yourself first. And then if you put yourself first, there is absolutely always time that you can find that time and commit to yourself. Yeah, just so that first section for me was about one, targeting an actual client that you were going to target in your marketing, but then taking their excuses away and showing them the path about, what they should be giving to themselves. Yeah.
absolutely. And I think people might think, "Oh, yeah, I've got marketing, I've got a social media and all that sort of things." But what we're talking about when we're talking about this stuff isn't the marketing so much, it's that messaging. And it's so easy to do marketing when you've gone through this journey of discovery and have got your messaging right and you're talking to the right people and talking in the way that they need you to talk to them and the way that they talk as well. Like,
Mm.
I can resonate with all of that because I don't have much time. I do have kids with me all the time. And as soon as you said that bit about prioritizing yourself, I'm like, oh, yes, that's me. I need to do that.
Yeah.
So it just resonates. And it's just such a different experience
Yeah.
than you putting out a message that says, now is your time, make time for you.
Mm.
Yeah.
And Sarah, here's a question for you. How many times have you visited my studio in the opening week and put yourself
Oh my God. So I've been there pretty much every day, guys. I am like addicted, absolutely addicted to the place. I signed up for a 5-class pass because I was like, oh, still in that mentality of, oh, I don't know whether I've got enough time to make the most of
Mm.
if I've got a membership And I used that pass like in no time at all because I was just showing up like and made myself a priority again. Like it's been a long time. And for the mums that are listening to this, and maybe the parents that are listening to this, you might be sitting there going, yeah, I get that because it has been a long time since I've made myself a priority. And now I'm actively doing it and I'm actively seeing the benefit of doing that as well. You know, when you feel a little bit selfish when you're making that time, I'm like, no, I'm a better person for it. Like I'm now able to focus. Like I'm having connection with people and building these relationships with people there as well as the list could go on. But
Mm.
it's been a game
And you're
changer for
not
me.
the only story. So you're not the
Yes.
only story that I've heard exactly that way through the people that have been in through this week. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I guess proof that your messaging is working and getting to the right
yeah,
people because those right people are coming in your door
yes,
and having this transformation. And it's so
yep,
important that when they do come in, they are having that transformation because then they're going to go away like me and give the spiel that I just gave to everybody they know. And that means you've nailed your messaging, like absolutely nailed your messaging. This makes your marketing so easy and growing your business. So, it's probably one of the good reasons that you've had the success that you have and all your bloody hard work. Getting that stage right at the start, which people so undervalue, just is
mm,
insane. So hats off for the
definitely.
transformation that you're offering to people. It's incredible. Very cool. So
Oh,
what
thank
an awesome experience. So that's that section. Then we went on from there after we got clear on who we're talking to and went out and tested the idea, made sure people actually wanted it. Then we set up all the business. So this is all of the actual legal stuff, setting up the entity, the legal stuff, all of those sorts of things. How did you find that process? Was that overwhelming? Was it easy? Was it
I probably by the time I reached that sort of side of it, I had some things in place.
Yeah.
I already had registered my business, I already had an ABN. But what it then took me down through is those avenues of stuff I hadn't thought of.
Mm.
And that's what I wanted from the course. It was the insurance stuff. I had your basic public liability insurance, but then looking and getting into that a little further. So for me, it was okay. I had the basics, but what else should I be thinking about?
Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
And yeah, it's probably the one of those subjects that you're doing, you're like,
Mm,
this is, but one of the things
yeah,
that you've got to set up right and it's just got to be done. No,
it does.
and then we had a big one that we did after that, and I moved it forward for you based on your advice, which was which is
You did.
the Know Your Numbers module. So this is where we cover everything to do with the finances of the business and, how to set it up, how to manage it, what you're doing, all that sort of stuff. What have you used from that? What are you set up? How are you running it? Like, how are you feeling with the numbers now?
So that was really interesting. So it was very daunting, but really interesting. So the fact that you gave us lots and lots of spreadsheets was a great thing. So what I did was so when I started the business, I set aside some money that I got through a loan and I went, okay, this is roughly how much I think it's going to take me to set up the business. Probably won't need all that money, but there it is. So one of your projection startup calculators was being able to say, okay, let's put all of your costs into that one spreadsheet, which was great because I just kept adding it in, adding it in. And then I was really able to go, okay, it's okay to spend this money that is dedicated to startup. Then it got more interesting because then we looked at the projections calculator. Now, I had looked at my costs and gone, okay, I need this figure to be able to start paying myself, or and this is how much it's going to earn per year. What I actually found is that my figure that was in my head to make it a profitable business was way not enough. Way not enough. There is no way that business would have been profitable doing the sales and the revenue coming in to what I thought it was going to be. And it was just that breakdown again. So just going through, knowing your numbers, knowing what you might have to do as a regularly occurring business. And that's how I've kept it. So I've kept anything that was a cost that was just going to start up the business into its own little spreadsheet to know that's not going to be a reoccurring amount. And then looking at it, okay, so this is going to be a recurring payment, my loan payment, my electricity payment, and then it was a really big confidence booster to then look at your revenue and start to project that because you were asking us, okay, how much revenue are you going to bring in? So the first time I sat down and did that, I was like, I really don't know. I don't have a lot of confidence. And I started with a figure. And then I just kept going back over that over the week until I got to the end of the week and I probably like tenfold how much I projected I was going to bring in because I just got more confidence as the week goes by.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I love that
Yeah.
too, because so much of it, we have our yoga backgrounds, and there's a big bit of
Yeah.
yoga, which is the manifesting, the intentions, all that sort of stuff. Yes, we're doing this in the physical sense that we're putting it on paper. But I love what you mentioned there about the belief. So, 10
Mm,
times the amount of revenue you initially thought you were going to have. But there's no way you would be able to achieve that if you didn't believe that was possible. And there's no way you were going to be able
mm,
to believe that was possible unless you saw it broken down and saw how you were going to
yeah.
get there. As much as all of these exercises are about knowing your numbers and ticking the boxes and making sure everything's lining up, it's also about getting your mindset right and getting your head right. And it's obviously
Yeah.
worked because you are now well exceeding that initial
Mhm.
amount that you set out to have. You probably smashed that already out of the park. Like, that's pretty awesome, pretty cool. I
Yeah.
love that one. Then after that,
Yeah.
we got started on your branding. And this one, you got a lot of help. So hats off to your
I
brother.
did.
So we should give him a little bit of a shout out in the show. What's your brother's details if anyone's looking for?
My brother is extremely busy, but he is amazing what he does. So I actually come from Deniliquin, so he's not Albury Wodonga based, and he has a business called Bizatac, and he's a sign writer. But he is a bit of a perfectionist. So when I come to him and said, I want to do this, he was like, okay, let me do your logo. This is the way I want it to look. It needs to look professional. It needs to be clean. And it needs to be simple. And he went away and did that and looked at my branding colors. And then my branding colors, he actually didn't give me one or two colors. We actually went with, there's about four, I think maybe six
Mm.
colors in that branding. So then I was able to transfer that branding into my paints and into my signage, my window signage, into my decor.
Mm.
And that just made it so much more professional.
Yeah.
And when he did the signage, saying that there's 4 to 6 branding colors, when he did the signage, he chose the brightest color of the whole lot. So actually, when you drive past the building, you see the brightest, pinkest purple you've ever seen. And it's so clean. So again, coming back to that logo, clean, simple, take notice. That's exactly how my branding looks. And then we were able to take that to social media. So if you actually look at the social media, it's using those branding colors and into the text and things like that. So I and the website and things like that. So I've been extremely lucky and I am very grateful for family and friends of family because my website was actually done by someone that owns her business, Siobhan, and she did my website for me as well. And she did it in a hurry, which was fantastic. So very, very grateful for Siobhan as well for doing my website. So there was a little inside there to be able to get that up and running.
It's come up beautifully, and that is what we cover in
Yeah.
that module with the course as well. You definitely got some nice helping hands there, so that was fun.
It did.
But I love it. He's done such a good job. So from that point, we moved on to marketing. So like we talked about, we got started in this. There was a lot of lessons and learnings for you, and you've just come such a huge way. So in this module, a lot of the things we cover is about getting new leads and having people find your business and also nurturing them as time goes
Mm.
on and what platforms you're going to use and all that sort of stuff and having a real strategy behind it, what you're going to talk about in your marketing, what messaging, all that sort of stuff. What are you doing? I know we've already talked about a bit of it, but what's the plans going forward? What have you done? What's worked for you? How's it look?
Yeah. So I had a real connection to Facebook. So most of my customer basis that I built over the years was Facebook. So it is really targeting Instagram as well. So trying to build that as well as Facebook. So getting people that if they're on Facebook to like my Instagram page. So that cross path is there. But I really had a really basic knowledge of this. I can basically say I had no idea because what I was able to unfold through all that is the leads. So I had no idea that, okay, you have a Facebook follower, but how do we build that into our email messaging and leads and things like that? So moving forward, it is a lot of social media marketing. I really feel that's a really good way to get out in our community, in Albury Wodonga community. And then just again, just keeping that same messaging to send throughout, but using different avenues to get that to people, targeting. So, some of that marketing as well. For example, I was able to connect him with the Border Mail and having a story done there. And then that has already promoted feedback to people start following me or even calling me and saying, hey, I saw this article. I hadn't seen that you'd open. Can we talk about these services that you can offer? So, future plans, it's really, again, just looking at some of those different avenues that I can get the message out there to people that really don't know that I exist as yet.
That's it, and you
Mm.
have that multiple touch points and trying different things and seeing what works.
Yeah,
So, no, I
yeah.
think you're doing a great job. So, then you touched on it before with your freebie. So, one of the things that we teach in the
Mm.
next module, which is the sales strategy, where we start building in that journey that people go on once they find your business to becoming a paying customer, is creating the freebie. And you use the freebie in your launch as well, which was the meditation. But how did you go through this module? Did this change what you were planning to offer? Did it affect it at all? Did it build anything else out? Have you implemented stuff? What are you thinking?
So it allowed me to add value, I
Mm,
think. So not thinking about just a freebie, something that they get for free, but something that they're going to add value to themselves, which was really good. And then I think for me, it'll be just about using that clear messaging that I've already started with and going forth with that as well. So again, my future plans is not to actually offer a freebie, a
mm,
free class as such, a free this. But what I'll be looking to do is through my website and Facebook and things like that is to offer meditation sessions, 10-minute ones, 15-minute ones that people can download and just offering value to what they're going to get. So they're not actually having to connect with me in the studio as yet. They can have their little taste tester, their little taste of what I offer
mm.
without actually having to commit to anything just yet. So
That's it.
future plans, yeah, will probably just stemming through from what I very first offered as my freebie and then offering more of that as we
Yeah.
progress through.
And then automating it as well. That's a big part of it
Yes.
is we don't want this to be work
Yep.
for you. We don't want you to lose revenue for it like you would for having a free class. With this, it's all going to be pre-recorded. It's all automated in the back end. So by the time
Yeah.
people get that, they go through the journey, they do the meditation or whatever the offering is, and then they start getting the emails for you from you to introduce them to you and the studio, and so they know a bit more. So by the time they do come in and they go to buy or actually try a class, they're already like 10 steps forward in that buying journey than they would be
Yeah.
if it was just somebody that saw you on the street. That is very cool that you're doing that. And next thing you touched on before, and gold star to you, Leanne, because you really have just taken each of these modules and just ran with them. You've taken it, you've learnt the stuff, you're like, okay, bang, going out and implementing that. And one of the things that you did mention then is in our profile and partner module, what we talk about is building your personal profile and building the business profile to then be able to leverage that for different reach in different areas. And one of those things that we cover is the media piece and getting media involved and using PR to get marketing and advertising to get people to find your business and also give you the credibility. And you are amazing. You had the Border Mail, which is our local paper, there for your opening and did an article on you. So let's talk through that. How did that happen for you? You've already talked
Mm,
about the results you got out of that, but
yeah.
yeah.
So in your course, you mentioned doing a PR release, getting that organizing and sending it out to your local paper and radio and things like that. I actually at this stage we had the lease of the building and I was extremely busy. So I just didn't find the time to dedicate and I'd actually would have had to sit down for probably a few hours because sometimes it takes me a little bit to get into the writing of these sorts of things. So to me, it was this obstacle in my head about doing it big, spending time on it. And I was like, oh, I just don't know how I'm going to be able to achieve this element of
Mm,
it. But essentially, what I did was something really simple. I actually contacted a friend that had an article in the paper written about her. And I simply said to her, "Hey, saw your article, really loved it. How did you organize that?" And it was her going, "Actually, I had the border mail contact me, and this is the person I spoke to." So instead of me sitting down doing a full PR media release, spending hours on it, which I just did not have, I took the simple version and I sent her an Instagram message and said, "Hey, this is me. This is what I'm about. I'm opening a studio. I thought I would invite you to my opening day." And that's all it was.
I love that. And that's as simple as it needs to be. Like, I think it's just reaching out and just asking the question and saying, is this something? And the paper or any news places, they need articles, they need stories. So, they
Mm.
are wanting it as much as you. So, for the people that, oh, I can't do that, absolutely you can. And I think it does help with that credibility when you're going, yep, okay, I had the paper. And when you're in a regional
Mm.
community like us, that's a pretty big thing.
Yeah.
Come and support my business. So
Yeah.
amazing. And another thing that I think you've done really well is already, so that's one piece of the profile. Then the next piece is the partnerships and collaborations. And you've
Mm.
already implemented and had so many collaborations and partnerships in your business. So you've really pulled on different skill sets and different business people to give them some benefit and also give you benefit. So do you want to talk through some of the things
Mm.
that you've done so far?
Yeah. So probably the two that come to mind. One is that through our well-being support, so I didn't want this business to just be about yoga and fitness timetable. I really wanted to bring in an added element of well-being support. And through that, we want to offer group offerings. So really targeting small groups in the community that might need more specialized care. So smaller groups, more specified age groups, and things that they're wanting to learn skills for. So, for example, part of that is offering kids groups and offering things that are going to help to skill up with anxiety, emotional regulation for people, maybe, or kids with such things as autism or social interaction skills, things like that. So, what I've been really lucky to be able to do is approach recovery solutions counseling. So, what they do is they offer group services to kids and adults, specialized NDIS supported type groups. And they're actually going to be renting my space and doing their groups from that as well. And so, what that's been able to do is the two of us are actually supporting each other. Say, hey, okay, you're going to run your groups. I've got a bigger space than what you've got at the moment. You're going to run your groups from my services. And then what Cassie at Recovery Solutions Counseling has done is gone, fantastic. I might actually be able to use some of your services in able to work with breath work and things like that for these children that I've got group programs happening. And then it's the flip side. So then I've gone, okay, Cassie, I really want to bring all the elements like mental health support into our services. And I really want to run things like mother circles where mums can come in and learn to support themselves. And let's talk about their experiences as a mum. Would you be able to come in and maybe just start a discussion about what it's like to support your needs as a mum? Talk about things like supporting your time and looking for triggers for postnatal depression. So it's being able to just support each other,
Mm.
offering a space that she can run her groups, but saying, okay, so these are your strengths. I could really use this in my business and going ahead with that. So that's been really good. So I'm really excited to see that partnership sort
I
of
love that.
expand. And then the other thing that I did is with our opening night. So, with our opening night, I just wanted to bring a couple of interesting topics for people to come in and to start discussions with each other. There's nothing worse than going to a social occasion where you're stuck talking to just one or two people that you know in a really large group of people. I wanted to start that as people mingled around the studio, is that they would have something to talk to each other about. So I asked Zena from Chakras Balanced, I think it is, and asked her to come in. So Zena's written a book and she's just a beautiful person that offers really great services. So what I did was I asked her to come in and just set up a little bit of a booth, bring her books that people could look at, speak to about. She did some angel cards readings. She talked about chakras and energy systems and things like that, and it was really popular. And I had a chat with her during the night, and some people bought her books and things like that. So I just, by doing that partnership, I was able to offer something a little bit different to what I normally offer in my services. And then she was able to get a little bit out of it as well because
That different
people were
audience.
introduced,
Yeah.
different audience, people were introduced to her. She sold a few books, which was amazing, fantastic. So they're probably two collaborations that I've had that sort of, yeah, come out and stand
Awesome.
out.
Like it's yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's key. Like we can do
Mm,
this all alone and we can struggle through and go through this journey by ourselves, or we can lean on each other and support each other and lift each other up. And I
mm,
think that's the only way we're going to survive as small businesses. It is a hard slog. And it's
mm.
lovely to be able to offer support to people and do it in a win-win way.
Yeah.
So you've done an awesome job of that. It's, yeah, again, star student, everything tick boxes, God. Then after that, we started looking at the systems you have in your business and we talked through the four
Yeah.
key systems: product system, marketing system, sales system, and operation system, and started, I guess, unloading them and starting looking at that. Maybe you haven't got them all built out yet because it's a new business, but at least opened your
Mm,
mind to that. What have you done in that? What have you learnt from that? Where are you up
mm.
to? What are you
So
doing?
yeah, key point was really to make it a saleable business. So right from word go. I'm not expecting to sell it anytime soon. However, life changes. Life is not predictable. And if say I had to reach 12 months, 2 years, and I had to just up and sell my business, this putting those structures in place made it a sellable business. And that was key point. The other point was going, okay, so I know a lot of this is in my head. I am going to need some other people to come in and help support me through teaching classes and different points. How are they going to know what's in my head?
Mm,
How are they going to know? And I've been talking about this connection to people and offering them an experience. So, how are other people going to be able to do that? How are other people going to be able to teach the classes the way I want them taught? And it's by putting everything on paper.
yes, absolutely. Like it's one of those
Yeah.
key things at the time. You're like, oh, this is so painful. But, and as well, yes, we want to create a sellable business. But if you want to scale a business, the only way
Mm,
you can scale it is by having these systems and processes in place.
yeah.
Without this, you're the one doing everything. It's all in your head. Nobody else knows. Or you'll get people on and then you'll be disappointed because they're not doing what you expected them to do. And you're going, I don't know why. But if you don't give them clear direction, it's
Mm,
so key in so many areas. Probably something we introduced to you at this stage. And as the business evolves, it will keep flowing through. And
definitely don't have them all down pat, but I have a few key points. And yeah, and you just got to keep growing it. Yeah.
absolutely. No, I love that. So then after that, we did the planning for scale module. So this is about the end goal for these businesses that we're creating is to get them to lifestyle stage. We want to get them to the point where you're taking great income and profit from your business. You've got the freedom and the flexibility. You've got a business that you could sell if you needed to and actually has a value to it. You've got a business that's operating itself rather than you having to run that machine sort of thing. So in
Mhm.
this, we covered all of that. What was your learnings from that module?
Yeah. So I suppose because the early stages of setup, in my head, it was about how much work and commitment I needed to give it. And it's in my head, I was going to be doing that for years. And then when you got us to sit down and work our way through this module, it was like, okay, how would I really to live my life? Do I really want to be spending that much time in 3 to 5 years time? And if the business was really profitable, so in that moment, what would I do if I won $1 million? What would I do if my business was so successful that it was earning lots and lots of money? How much work would I want to be putting into that? So it was at that stage that I went, actually, not as much work as what I'm doing now. So then it was like, how much money would it take for me to turn that into a business that I could have a month off at a time? and go on family vacations. I could travel. I could just step out, have a manager in that was just running it. Classes and everything were running beautifully because it was all set up in the structure that way. And that was an eye opener for me because I was able to go, okay, what if it was turning over $1 million? How would I live my life? And go, wow, that is really what I'm building this business to do. I'm not building it to sell it in 3 years' time. I'm building it to have a better lifestyle for me and my family. And what's that going to
Yes.
take? Yeah.
I love that. It's so important. And
Mm.
like what we talked about earlier is if you don't set these goals, or you don't have these things you're working towards, your business will just stay stagnant. It's like in life. If we don't set anything up that we're going to achieve, then we're not going to achieve anything extra. We're just going
Yeah.
to keep coasting. So by having these plans and these goals and these outcomes and putting them out into reality, then they're actually going to come into fruition and putting the action steps
Mm.
behind it to actually make it happen. That is cool.
Yeah.
And last thing we did, which I love and you've just nailed, was we have a whole module dedicated to launching the business. And I think it's one of
Mm.
those key things for those points I talked about earlier, where we've got one chance for people to buy into this launch of this business and this new business and go on that hero's journey with you. And you absolutely ran with it. So we talk about the pre-launch process. So like I spoke about, we start marketing as soon as we start doing the course pretty much and start building that community. And then we celebrate the month or no, celebrate the launch. And that's, we want to do big things. And you've done lots in both areas. Talk us through what you've done, what's
Mm.
worked, and how that whole launch process, and was it worth you doing the launch? What did you plan on
Mm.
doing anything to launch before doing the course? Or what was your thoughts before versus after? Tell us everything.
So the very first thing that I remember is when we sat down to this module is feeling like you'd given me a swift kick up the only because I was like, I'm going to open my doors. My social media is going to run. It'll be fine.
It'll
And
just come in.
then it'll come in and then you've gone and I'd have an opening. I had a launch event. It'll be an invite only type thing. That's all I'll need. And then you've come in and gone, actually, Leanne, it's not about one event. It's not about 1 week. It's about a launch month and it needs to be more. So I feel like you gave me a bit of a push that I needed. It's a kick up the bum. And I kind of then shifted into third gear and took it up a notch. So there were a number of things, a simple meet and greet brunch that I mentioned before, a selected time of the day that people would just come in and meet me and connect to the studio. Really simple, easy thing to do, very successful. There was things like an information open night that was successful. I'm probably a little critical of myself. I would have liked to have been a little more successful. However, when I look back, it was about really just celebrating with
Mm.
family and friends that this has been achieved. And that was really, that's all I should be looking at it as is pat on the back, congratulations. Wow, look at this place. We got to where we need to be. And thank you, friends and family, for supporting me along the way. Yeah. And then it's just about different offerings. So I did a pop up class, again, really easy, opening day, restorative and bubbles, really simple. People could either buy a class or they could start in their membership. It wasn't offered as free. So it wasn't a free offering. Again, they were committed to
Mm.
coming in. But again, really successful. And it was a
Yeah.
chance to just sit down and go, hey, cheers, look at this beautiful place, look at this beautiful space, and let's meet each other. Let's a little bit more community feel. Yeah. And then it's just about those offerings. So bringing in well-being workshops, seminars, really opening people's eyes about all the different elements that we can offer. So there'll be more of those things to come into play. So one of the really exciting things that we're going to be offering in February again is another workshop. And I have a beautiful friend called Tash. Tash is coming in to speak about heart disease in women because that is a topic we all need to know about in women, but often we discuss it in men and it is one of the leading killers in women. So again, opening launch is about bringing and opening people up to those different elements that we really want them to take notice of. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it is
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic. And you did do, like, in the lead up, you did a very strategic social media posting as well. You did very strategic content. You did Facebook ads as well for awareness and lead.
Yeah.
Gosh, you did it all. Like, you really went all in and said, no, this is my time. I put all this work into it. And I think it's very easy for people to go, oh, look, I'm just going to soft launch. I just want to see what's going to happen. But the only person that's you're not giving it all to then is you.
And I really dedicated money behind that too. So
Mm.
I think it's important that if you're dedicating money to the setup, you need to dedicate the money into that launch as well. So the social media, paid ads and things like that. So spend all this money behind it, getting it up and running, and then not putting any money into it going
to
forward.
getting clients. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we have another collab that we're working on, which we haven't locked in all the details, but I'm just going to give a little shout out
I'm
to
very excited.
I know. So Leanne and I have been talking about doing a workshop together, which Leanne is going to begin with leading people through a yoga sequence. And then we're going to sit down to do a bit of a workshop for business owners, which is called Manifesting a Powerfully Profitable Business. And I'm going to lead people through some exercises to get what you want in your business, all about money, manifestation, and abundance. So it's going to be awesome. And we're going to finish that with a beautiful yin class. So I'm so excited to be now able to now collaborate with you and do something.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for all
I
the
want
details
to-
for that, guys.
I want to go to that. So
I
I'm going to
think
help
so
you
too.
do it, and I want to be a part of it.
I know. I think it's so important, especially after a rough couple of years that we've had with COVID and all of the C word. It's just so nice now to go, all right, let's have a reset. Let's think big. Let's dream big. We don't need to keep limiting ourselves anymore. We're going to take it to the next level. So excited to bring that to the world with you. So if you're around Albury, Wodonga and surrounds, keep posted. Unfortunately, this will be just in person, but maybe we could collab and do an online thing. We'll see how this goes, Leanne.
Who knows?
We'll see how this goes. But you have had the most spectacular journey, and I can't wait to share with people how this looks in a year's time, how this looks as life goes on. And I think this is one of the most beautiful things about this, because it's the ripple effect that this business has, because now, you're going out and you've created this business and now you're having a ripple effect into the community. And it's just, it's a very wavy looking water now with all these ripples running through that we're making. So very,
So
very
rewarding.
cool.
So
So
rewarding.
rewarding. So we are just about to get ready to go to a yoga class together. Well, you're teaching, I'm going as a student.
Yeah.
So we better wrap this up. But before we do, where can we send people? How can they find you? How can they get in on your journey?
So Mesa Movement is my website. So you can look at that through Mesa, which is MYSA. Move.com.au is my website. Social media, Facebook, Mesa Movement. So again, just that MYSA. Instagram, any of those opportunities. Or we can even, if you're in the area, if you're in Albury, Wodonga, I do have a specialized app. It is called Glowfox. And I mention that because it's just such a simple app. If you download that app from your app store, it's a free app, and choose Mesa as your studio, so MYSA, and make up your profile, and you can get all your information off that. So you can see timetable, you can see the particular specials about memberships and class passes that I'm running, and you can see that we have lots and lots of classes on the timetable. We are covering all bases with our timetable. There is absolutely no excuse. Okay, so any time of the day, Millie, we've got you covered. So yeah, that's how you can reach out.
Wonderful. And make sure you tell her that you heard her here first on the podcast. And then we know that you are listening along. So thank you so much for joining me, Leanne. And I am very excited to spend the next hour and a half with you in a class. I will see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.